There's nothing more rude and frustrating than when you're trying to have a conversation with someone and they just can't even hold your eye line for a couple of seconds, or how about, when they walk down the street and they just stop for no reason and you walk right into them. It's really rude and kind of annoying. Well, things are only going to be getting a little bit worse now that Pokemon Go has hit the UK shores. This game has reached Hype Max in the States. That means it's the biggest US mobile game in the history of mobile games, with more downloads than Tinder and more daily active users than Twitter. This augmented reality game is set to make it even more difficult to hold a conversation with anyone you know. Still a little bit confused as to what we're talking about? This is Pokemon Go, What's the Fuss? Pokemon was created by Satoshi Tajiri in the 1990s. The name Pokemon is a contraction of the Japanese phrase for pocket monsters.
Pocket monster.
And that's what this world is all about, these little tiny pocket monsters that you have to collect. In 1996, it all kicked off with some Game Boy games. Then came trading cards, and then in 1997, the Pokemon cartoon aired, bringing it to the wider world like it had never been before. There are nearly 1,000 episodes of the cartoon series and 18 movies. There were 151 original Pokemon to catch, and now there's over 700. In what was one of the most honest slogans for quite some time, "Gotta catch 'em all," was a marketeer's and merchandiser's dream come true. And if it still doesn't sound familiar, cast your eyes over this happy chappy. This is Pikachu. He's kind of like the Beyonce of Pokemon. Everybody loves him, he's cute, adorable, and you could go anywhere in the world and people would recognise him. Plus, I'm pretty sure Beyonce could fire electricity out of her cheeks if she really set her mind to it. I've booted up my Pokemon Go app, and what I can see now is actually a proper GPS map of where I am right now in this park. I can see there's all these different points of interest. So first of all, you'll see Pokestops, which are places you can go to collect Pokeballs and other kind of extra little gifts to help you with your game. You can also see gyms, which is where you go to battle other Pokemons. And occasionally, if you're in the right place, a Pokemon will appear, and then you have to try and catch him. Ooh, okay, right, so a Pokemon has just appeared. Now, what happens at this moment is we jump from the map screen and it actually starts using your phone's camera. So what I need to do now is use my Pokeballs, these little red and white balls here, and I actually throw them, and then once I've caught it, it goes into my Pokedex, and the idea is obviously is you catch as many as you can. I can then start using them to battle other Pokemon later on. So the more you get, the more rare ones you find, the ones that have like better skills, better powers, the more other Pokemon you can then defeat. As you can imagine, with people going on long walks to places they perhaps have never been before and looking into their phones an awful lot, it's kind of been ripe for some rather bizarre things that have been occurring. Here's Stefan with some of the weirdest and most wonderful stories from Pokemon over this week.
I'm all for dedicated Pokemon trainers. You can play while you're on the toilet or sat on the bus for all I care. But I'm not so sure about playing it in the hospital while your wife is giving birth. Well, Justin Therio disagreed with me. There he is trying to catch a Pokemon, and luckily for him, his wife Jessica didn't mind. Now, not everyone's been that lucky though. You've probably read about this guy, you know, the one that hurt himself whilst on a skateboard? That's right, looking at his phone, playing Pokemon, trying to catch Pikachu whilst on a skateboard. Yeah, that guy. I'm not surprised he didn't give anyone his name. So we know one of the points of Pokemon Go is to get out and about and try and find characters in your local area. Shayla Wiggins was looking for water Pokemon near a river in Wyoming, but she didn't find Squirtle. She came across a dead body instead. The game will take you to some pretty random places to try and get hold of your Pokemon, and not everybody's happy with that. The Auschwitz Museum in southern Poland, for example, is telling people not to play the game there, and surprisingly, they think it's pretty disrespectful. Unless you've been spending all your time trying to get your hands on Pikachu, then you might have noticed we've got a new Prime Minister in the UK. Hundreds of journalists were crammed outside 10 Downing Street before Theresa May gave her first speech as PM. But some of them were spending their time doing this. That's right, catching Pokemon outside 10 Downing Street.
Is Pokemon Go going to fundamentally change everything about who we are? Not really, it's just kind of a symptom of something slightly larger, which is the fact that we love to gamify our lives. We already have Twitter followers in numbers assigned to our names. We count our calories or the steps we've walked or the floors we've climbed. We love to gamify what is intrinsically quite boring everyday behaviour, and that will never go away. And if anything, Pokemon Go has just shown the huge potential for people to take it even more into their lives.